Part 89. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 884. The registration point worker who received Jia Yan's answer did not have many doubts, but reported the name truthfully. There are weirdos every year, and these kind of weirdos will usually give up when they actually fight against half-stars. It's just that I don't know which semi-star strong person. If you meet him, you will be lucky, and you will win the first game. The strong person at the second level at the registration point was also a little confused. Why did the senior leaders of his own force formulate a rule that cross-level registration could be made at any level? Of course, what he doesn't understand is that this rule is the reason why powerful forces can win so many people. In the entire genius battle, except for the famous ones, the others have to take some eye-catching or funny routes. Right. Therefore, among this powerful force, it is not uncommon for some venerables to choose half-star powerhouses. He even saw a peak starry sky-level person sign up for a battle with a half-star powerhouse. Of course, the starry sky-level idiot who signed up and dared to go on stage was turned into a scum by his opponent in one move. And these are the tricks used by Weiqiang geniuses to gain attention and news. Jia Yan finished signing up and then walked out of the registration point. The name he submitted was not Jia Yan, but the name often used as a scapegoat, MOK. Returning to the port where the tornado force docked, the half-star strong men who helped the force's geniuses to register also came back. After all, there is a special channel for registration for the entire force, so it is normal for it to be faster. Jia Yan, why are you out? However, among the powerful planets, there are some that are worth visiting. It is inconvenient for our tornado forces to go there. You can go there and play while there is no war. Play. When Tai Jin saw Jia Yan coming back from his trip, he was suddenly curious, but he wanted to speak tactfully. I'm just going to go out and take a look at the venue. There's nothing worth seeing about this powerful force. After Jia Yan finished speaking, he returned to the Aditya. Since the tornado forces arrived late, the time for the mighty genius competition came quickly. Jia Yan, I think you should be able to get first place easily in the venerable level battle, but you still have to save your energy. We also helped you sign up for the second level of the strong battle. I hope you can also get the first place in the second level of strong battle to the top 3. On the day of the competition, it could be described as a huge crowd, with creatures participating in or watching the competition everywhere. The entire competition venue is very similar to the battle stage of the tornado force, but the scale is larger. It can be seen that the tornado force is somewhat suspected of plagiarizing the powerful force. Faced with Taijin's explanation, Jia Yan agreed, and then went to the stage to meet the audience along with more than 3,000 players participating in the Lord-level battle. Of course, except for those who knew him, no one liked him at all. Even among the group of venerables, he was just one of them. Even for the audience who knew him, it was not easy to see Jia Yan among the more than 3,000 monsters. But after all, there are still some viewers who have watched the Tornado Genius competition or watched online news. Hey, isn't that Jia Yan, who performed amazingly in the Tornado Genius battle? It seems like it is true. He actually came to participate in a battle at the level of the Venerable. Quickly, buy me the chips for Jia Yan to win the championship. All your money is staked. He can kill even the strongest people in the second level. The first place is easily accessible. Audiences one after another quickly bought Jia Yan's victory, but they also knew to keep it secret. After all, everyone bought Jia Yan, and their odds would be lower. Huh? Why did the number of purchases of this player suddenly increase? No matter, he is just a famous newcomer. At the official gambling bureau of Weiqiang, they saw that the number of spectators buying Jia Yan's victory suddenly increased. They were not too shocked because the value was not too exaggerated. It was not even comparable to the first place of the Venerable. After the battle started, The entire arena quickly remembered the name of the Jiayan player. The first game, instant kill. In the second game, it was still an instant kill. In the third game, it was still an instant kill. This, what kind of genius is this? How can he be so powerful? It seems that he must have a seat in the top 10. Some viewers immediately realized that this Jiayan was actually a powerful genius. From the tornado force? Or from foreign aid? When some viewers saw that Jiayan was from the tornado force and knew about the past grievances between the tornado force and the Weiqiang force, they all showed signs of watching the show. Their words reached the ears of some viewers who had met Jiayan, and they all started laughing. It seems that Jiayan has been temporarily invited as a foreign aid by the tornado forces. Haha, the surrounding viewers don't know Jiayan's true strength, and they still say that he can advance to the top 10? Bullshit. Top 10. He is a person who can be in the top 10. The existence that has won the first place in every level of the powerful tornado force. I think Jiayan probably also participated in the powerful battle between powerful forces. This kind of middle-level genius must have fought all the way. However, the genius battle of the powerful force is much stronger than the tornado force. It's difficult for him to enter the top 5. I said that not only can he not be in the top 5, but it is also impossible for him to be in the top 10. Audiences who knew Jiayan's past had no sense of suspense about the first place in the venerable level. Instead, they were discussing whether Jiayan could get a good ranking in the second level of strong people. What didn't surprise them was that Jiayan actually entered the championship competition at the venerable level. Jiayan, you actually belong to the tornado force? Our mighty force has many conflicts with your tornado force. In this case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Jiayan's opponent turned out to be a powerful sage. It seemed that he was extremely confident in his own strength, because this strong man turned out to be a sage who was almost a mid-level genius. Reaching the middle level, he could not kill the enemy by leapfrogging, but he felt that it was still possible to dominate the powerful genius battle at the venerable level. Are you powerful? Haha, if you think you can beat me, then I can only disappoint you. Jiayan shook his head. His disdainful attitude made this powerful venerable genius get angry and attack first. As expected, he is indeed the most powerful person, he is very powerful. Jiayan avoided the opponent's first blow and praised him as if looking at a junior. Nonsense, stop using your words and defeat me if you can. The venerable man roared in anger. As you wish. Jiayan's faint voice sounded, and then, puff. After a slight noise, the powerful lord's expression condensed, and then he showed a look of disbelief, and then slowly fell to the ground. Jiayan didn't kill him, he just used his strength to make him temporarily incapacitated. Oh! The first place in the venerable level competition is out. The winner is Jiayan. The commentator shouted with great excitement, and the entire audience cheered. But compared to their excitement and shock, some of the audience did not show any surprise, and the same was true for the tornado forces. Some viewers became curious. This foreign aid, Jiayan, helped the tornado force win the first place in the Supreme. Why are they not happy? It seems that this tornado force really doesn't treat foreign aid very well. How did they know that this was something that the tornado forces took for granted? They also signed up for Jiayan to compete in the genius competition at the level of the second pass. They thought that it would be a big surprise if Jiayan could get into the top 3 of the second pass. It would not be too late to cheer then. Now, Jiayan wins. Fighting at the venerable level is simply a matter of course. This guy is interesting. What no one knew was that high in the starry sky of the competition arena, a huge being who had not shown his face from beginning to end showed an interesting expression towards Jiayan, who had won the battle. Different from the tornado forces, the rewards for the venerable level champions are distributed on the spot. Jiayan got on the podium, and then a half-star powerhouse came to Jia Yan, said a few indifferent words to him, and then gave him the reward. There's a star core again, not bad. Jia Yan felt rewarded and then smiled. Not only can he get this reward, but the tornado forces will also give him rewards in the future. In this case, Jia Yang will really become more and more interested in the genius battle, and you must know that the speed of harvest is really not slow. Moreover, he is still at the venerable level. Jia Yan is confident that even in the central area of the genius battlefield, his strength can dominate the venerable level. After all, there are not so many top genius venerables. Most of the top geniuses quickly passed the level of venerable masters and reached the level of sub-level experts or semi-stars. As for high-level geniuses, Jia Yan is not afraid as long as they are at the same level. Okay, next is the next level competition. There are more than 1,500 players participating in this level. When the commentator announced the battle between the strong men in the second level, Jia Yan, who had just received the venerable level reward and stepped down, turned around without even standing firm on his feet, and faced the tornado forces around him. The strong men in the second level came on stage again. Ugh. Then Jia Yan is on stage again, and he still holds the reward of the venerable level in his arms. Does he still want to fight in the strong level of the second level? He is too arrogant. He can dominate at the level of the venerable. Do you still want to participate in the battle between the strong men of the second level? He is really too arrogant. The strong men of the second level are not comparable to the venerable. It seems that this Jia Yan is going to be embarrassed. One after another, the audience, as well as some high-ranking officials in the forces, suddenly sneered with disdain when they saw Jia Yan coming to the next level of battle. Although this powerful force can't help but fight beyond the level, it is usually just for entertainment. If you want to truly defeat the opponent by leapfrogging, only middle-level geniuses can succeed in this arena. And does this Jia Yan look like a moderate genius? Not like it at all. Tornado forces, what on earth do you want to do? Are you kidding me, the mighty force? You actually let a venerable participate in my mighty force's sub-level strongman battle. It seems that you underestimate my mighty force, right? The audience on the stage were all surprised by Jia Yan's participation in the battle, but the two old rivals, the Wei Qiang force and the Tornado force, were secretly fighting each other at this time. Thanks to Book Friends 2017012514383750 and Yes Yang Chen Book Friends for their rewards, and also to the Book Friends who voted for monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you. Mobile phone users, please browse and read for a better reading experience. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 885. Haha, didn't you see that there are other venerables on the stage participating in the second level of the strong man's battle? Why do you only talk about my tornado force? And who knows what the foreign aid of our force, Jia Yan, will do? I advise you to intimidate me. A strong word, don't underestimate him, haha. Taijin's reply made the other party almost spit out a mouthful of blood. Whoever encounters this Jia Yan, don't spare me any mercy. If you can't kill him, you will be seriously injured. Isn't this good? Maybe he is a powerful genius and there is someone strong behind him. What great power does a venerable who is less than a mid-level genius have? Do you still think he is a mid-level genius? The semi-star level experts from several powerful forces judged Jia Yan that he was the one who brought the disgusting powerful force for the tornado force. You must know that the powerful force only used the tornado force in this genius battle. There are many, and it is possible for the opponent to use a venerable to confuse their genius battle. If we come here a few more times, it might really have an impact on the battle between powerful forces and geniuses. Several powerful forces had long been unable to see Jia Yan's performance as a second-level expert, and they immediately nodded. Okay, now let's draw lots. Following the commentator's instructions, after the drawing of lots, the genius battle for the second level of the strong began immediately. This powerful force's genius battle is indeed much stronger than the tornado force. Jia Yan only watched 2 battles between the strong men in the second level in the player's seat, and then he realized that there is an essential difference between the genius battle of powerful forces and the genius battle of tornado forces. The genius battle between the tornado forces was just like a relatively large farce to Jia Yan, but the genius battle between the mighty forces was something special. It was at least more grand than the one held by the Urshan forces. The strong ones also more powerful. Boom. A strong person in the second level completely kills his opponent. Winner, Dong. The commentator announces the winner of this battle, and then he quickly announces the sides of the next battle. Please be ready for the next match, Sloan vs Jia Yan. Jia Yan? It's the turn of that supreme genius, let us see the true strength of Jia Yan. I see, he can't even make it through the first round. He is a genius. In this battlefield of geniuses, who is not a genius? The surrounding players and the audience in the auditorium suddenly became interested when they heard Jia Yan's name. After all, Jia Yan was the genius who had just won the first place in the venerable level. Jia Yan came on stage, and his contestant was a flying insect like a butterfly. Jia Yan, if you don't want to get hurt, just admit defeat. Jia Yan was familiar with this sentence when the other party came to power. Fight. Jia Yan shook his head. Presumptuous. Seeing that Jia Yan didn't like hearing what he said, the other party felt that his good intentions had been wasted by Jia Yan, so he became angry and launched the attack first. But what he didn't know was that in this genius battlefield, Jia Yan would hear similar words every day when he went on stage, and he was tired of hearing them. This butterfly monster can spray silk threads from its mouth, just like silk, but its toughness far exceeds that of silk. Jia Yan saw a thread flying over and quickly hid. Hey, you can actually dodge my attack. You really have 2 brushes. When the butterfly monster saw that Jia Yan could dodge his silk attack, he immediately understood that Jia Yan, the venerable master, dared to challenge their second level genius. Not without some reason. But it's no use. You are not the one who can challenge the strong ones in the second level. The butterfly monster instantly entered a real fighting state, and then his attacks became more violent. But no matter how hard he stretched his silk thread, he still couldn't hit Jia Yan's dark body. Impossible. The butterfly monster flapped its wings and stared in the air. He couldn't believe that Jia Yan could avoid his attack. Is this what you call the strength of a strong person in the second level? I'm sorry, it's far from enough. Jia Yan below sneered and shook his head. Without waiting for the other party to retort, his body directly entered the subspace. The next moment, Jia Yan appeared behind the colorful body of the butterfly monster. Puff! One front foot lightly pierced the opponent's wing. I spared no effort and didn't damage your beautiful wings. Jia Yan's faint voice sounded from behind the other party. I surrender. When the butterfly monster saw this scene, he immediately understood that there was a huge gap between him and Jia Yan. This time, Jia Yan wins. When the commentator announced Jia Yan's victory, a burst of disbelief erupted from the entire audience and the surrounding players. What does it mean that a venerable person can defeat a powerful person from the next level? It represents that this venerable person is very likely to be a middle-level genius with excellent talents. Is Jia Yan actually a moderate genius? The semi-star level experts in the powerful force all looked shocked. Don't worry, some special elementary geniuses can also fight beyond the next level. We will have to watch 2 more games before we can determine Jia Yan's true talent. However, it seems that he is not an ordinary genius. If you encounter him next, please be careful. Hands. Jia Yan's talent made the powerful semi-star geniuses not dare to attack him rashly. This is the case in this genius star field. Behind a genius, there is likely to be a powerful force or strong person. Next, Jia Yan once again became the focus of the entire event. Jia Yan's hung. In the second game, Jia Yan once again defeated a second-level opponent. This time my opponent is a top 100 player among the strongest players in the second level. It is impossible for Jia Yan to win again. Jia Yan's hung. In the third game, Jia Yan once again defeated a second-level player who was predicted to be in the top 100 before the game, but he still won easily. The fourth game is still a victory. This. After a few games, the entire arena was shocked. You must know that a junior genius may have a sudden burst of luck in 1 or 2 battles, or may just be incompetent in terms of strength, and win 4 battles in a row over a higher level. There is only one reason to explain it. Jia Yan is really a genius with above-average talent. In the arena where I am a powerful force, there is another mid-level genius. This player Jia Yan is actually an above-average talent. When the commentator revealed his guess about Jia Yan's talent as if he was belatedly thinking about it, the entire audience was astonished for a while. Among the powerful forces, it is not that there are no mid-level geniuses who come to cause trouble, but those geniuses usually show their identity at the beginning. Like Jia Yan, there are very few who first win the honorary level and then pass the strong level. How can a moderate genius play at the venerable level? This Jia Yan is bullying others. It's just that he is a middle-level genius and it is too stingy to compete with the venerable for rewards. You don't know. I see that Jia Yan has not yet reached the peak of the Supreme Master. It is impossible to reach the top 50 in the secondary level. If you mess up the secondary level from the beginning, you will not get rewards at all, and you will not get any rewards at all. It won't cause any sensation. This is the right choice. Some viewers speculated on Jia Yan's behavior. No one knows that Jia Yan is not doing it for fame, but for actual combat experience and rewards. There is no way, there is not really any powerful force behind him. Others don't understand the suffering of the poor. Jia Yan's hung. He has officially entered the top 100. When Jia Yan won another victory and entered the top 100 in the second level of the strong level genius battle, the whole stadium was boiling. This venerable being who is not even at the top can actually reach this level. Who dares to say that he is not a middle level genius? Now no one doubts whether Jia Yan is a mid-level genius, but they are wondering how far this mid-level genius can go. In my opinion, he is not yet at the peak of the venerable. Even if he has a medium genius talent, he will only be in the top 100 at most. Even if he is a mid-level genius at the peak of the venerable, he can compete with powerful forces in the second level of the battle. If you reach the top 20, you will be unstoppable. Yes, I think this Jia Yan will only stop at the next game. Audiences who guessed that Jia Yan would go to the next scene were quickly slapped in the face by Jia Yan. In the battle of 100 to 50, Jia Yan once again used a strength that the opponent could not resist, and defeated him with a few moves directly from Shiyuan. Jia Yan wins. Hiss. All the creatures were stunned. They all thought that Jia Yan would not be able to enter the top 50, but Jia Yan was simple and told them with facts how inaccurate this group of viewers was. But at this point, the semi-star strong man from the Tornado Force on the sidelines was satisfied. Haha, it is indeed right to let Jia Yan participate in this powerful force's genius battle. Although we have to pay some price, it is enough. It will slap the mighty force in the face and give me the Tornado Force a shame. Look. Looking at the faces of those half-star experts from the mighty force makes me feel so comfortable. Who says it's not? Haha. However, I feel that this is the end of it for Jia Yan. Although his strength is strong, he is not a middle-level genius at the top of his game after all. We should not continue to pay attention to him. Now, let's see how many times our forces shut down the powerful ones. Which one of them wins the top 3, this will be a slap in the face to the powerful forces. Tai Jin chatted with another half-star strong man, and they began to look down on Jia Yan. Even though they had known for a long time that this genius won the first place in the second level of the genius battle between their tornado forces, but now this is a genius battle between powerful forces, and the scale is grander than the genius battle between the tornado forces. More than 10 times, the power of the strong is also much stronger. If Jia Yan can reach the top 50, they are probably about the same. Of course, there is a slight chance of reaching the top 20. But what they didn't know was that the next battle would still be the moment when Jia Yan slapped everyone in the face. Boom! A strong man was severely knocked out of the field by Jia Yan's front foot attack. Jia Yan wins again. The commentator seemed to be speechless. Throughout the arena, every spectator and player looked like they had seen a ghost. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 886. Jia Yan, a genius who has not even reached the top of the world, actually entered the top 20 in the level of strong men. What's even more shocking is that he seems to be very relaxed even here. What the hell? His performance was unbelievable to even the most powerful men from the tornado force. Taejin, what is Jia Yan's strength? From what I've seen, it seems that he is really not an average genius. The half-star creature next to Taejin asked, feeling extremely difficult. How do I know? We said he was an elementary and middle-level genius, but he never admitted it directly. Could it be that he was really a high-level middle-level genius? Taejin was also a little confused. All the creatures present, whether powerful or not, suddenly didn't understand Jia Yan's sudden appearance. How strong is this? Next game, Jia Yan vs Qiqian. 20-10 is when facing a round coin-like monster, who doesn't look down on Jia Yan at all. But after fighting with him for more than 10 moves, Jia Yan still spotted the opponent's flaw and defeated him directly with a slight sound. It's incredible, Jia Yan actually entered the top 10. Not to mention the surrounding reactions, even the tornado forces felt that the world was shaking. Before this, they had never thought that Jia Yan could enter the top 10 of the strongest people in the second level, which was capped at 20 at most. But Jia Yan still managed to easily enter the top 10 in the second round of the powerful genius battle. And his subsequent battle numbed not only the audience, but also the tornado forces who were somewhat mentally prepared. The top 10 are reincarnation battles, that is, each of the top 10 will have to fight against each other. Jia Yan won the first game. The second game, win. Game 3, win. Everything seemed to be a replica of the battle between the strong men in the secondary level of the tornado forces that day. That's not right. The powerful warriors from the powerful genius battle are much stronger than the secondary warriors from our tornado force, but Jia Yan actually feels the same way. Taejin was almost stunned. He thought he was dreaming. He had already had a high opinion of Jia Yan's strength, but now he felt that he still had a low opinion of it. Is it possible that Jia Yan is not just a middle-level genius? He is really a high-level genius that we can't even imagine. Taejin, who had only seen high-level geniuses once or twice, almost felt like his breathing was stagnant. High genius. This is such a shocking term. If Jia Yan is really such a genius, then he will be respectful to Jia Yan when he sees him later. Otherwise, the entire genius field will know that he dares to treat such a genius. Even if a powerful person disrespected by a high-level genius would come over and kill him, there is no guarantee. In the genius battlefield, actual combat ability occupies a huge part. But here, talent really means everything. High-level geniuses have powerful forces to take care of them, and they can have smooth sailing all the way until they reach the semi-star level. As for the most terrifying top geniuses, genius battlefield officials will dispatch strong men to take care of them. This kind of existence will definitely become a star level, and as soon as it becomes a star level, it will be more powerful than the junior star powerhouses. Although Jia Yan is unlikely to be a top genius, as a high-level genius, his status in the genius battlefield is not comparable to that of an average half-star like Taejin. He will definitely not win the fifth game, because this is a second-level strongman who is tentatively ranked second, and is also the strongest second-level strongman among powerful forces. The strongmen of the Tornado Force, as well as the entire audience around the battlefield, did not watch other battles. Even the strongmen themselves were fighting listlessly, because they all understood that in the entire genius battle, the one with the most limelight was the winner. Yes, it is definitely Jia Yan. And in the fifth battle that followed, it turned out that Jia Yan faced off against the mighty Force, the second-level expert who was expected to be in second place. Jia Yan, our higher UPS admire you very much and hope you won't get hurt in the future. The strong man came on stage and said something that even surprised Jia Yan. It turned out that the senior officials of the powerful forces also discovered that Jia Yan's talent was not as simple as an ordinary middle-level genius, so now they actually said good things to Jia Yan, completely violating their previous ill intentions towards him. Okay, I will also show mercy to you when others are polite, Jia Yan will of course respond with a smile. The most powerful person in the second level of the powerful force changed his somewhat uncomfortable demeanor. You must know that what he said just now was against his will, but Jia Yan actually followed the stick and said he would show mercy to him. This made him unhappy. Haha, okay, let's fight. The strong man laughed strangely, and then moved his body. He planned to give Jia Yan some color first, and then stop when he was about to hurt him. The opponent's speed was very fast, and the speed that Jia Yan had shown before was simply incomparable. But when Jia Yan saw this speed, a bright light flashed in his eyes. Then his speed exploded far beyond the previous one. The two powerful men instantly moved to the limit of speed. It's so fast. It's too fast. Player Jia Yan is actually so fast. He just got so difficult and didn't use his full strength. It's simply incredible. The commentator expressed his shock when he saw that Jia Yan's speed was actually comparable to that of the powerful Sigwan warrior who was known for his speed. In the audience, the strong men were numb. They had seen Jia Yan burst out with strength again and again, and now it seemed normal to see any kind of strength he broke out. The previous tentative second place is like this. There is not much difference in strength between the first place and this second place. I think Jia Yan might become a blockbuster. You said he will become the number one strong person in the second level. This is impossible. What do you think? If he wins this game, who can stop him? One by one, the strong men in the audience analyzed Jia Yan's strength, and some of them couldn't believe it. They felt that Jia Yan had a slight possibility of winning the first place among the strong men in the next level. When they were imagining it, even faster than they expected, one of the two powerful men who were fighting quickly let out a scream. The strong man staggered out of the battle circle. What the surrounding audience could not accept was that he looked exactly like the powerful force that had shut down the strong man for the first time. So strong, so strong. This time, Guanqiang was the one fighting Jia Yan head-on. Now he looked at Jia Yan, who was slowly landing on the stage with shock and disbelief in his eyes. Because he felt it, even if he fought like this, Jia Yan didn't seem to be trying his best. How can that be possible? A venerable man was able to retain his strength despite fighting against the top three strong men this time. Concession. Jia Yan was in the battle circle and said something to the powerful genius who was knocked out of the battle circle. But now, the commentator was stunned and announced Jia Yan's victory. Holy crap! This is incredible. Jia Yan is incredible. Almost all of the tornado forces, including the semi-star geniuses, went crazy. Jia Yan actually defeated the second-placed expert in the next level in one go, and it seemed that he still had some strength left. This showed that even if he fought against the first-placed person, he still had the strength to fight, and could even win. How could they have imagined that Jia Yan could reach this point? Jia Yan, the next battle will be between me and you, so I will admit defeat. Your next battles won't be too difficult. The only battle left is with the number 1, so you have to worry. When Jia Yan came to power, a powerful person from the secondary level of the tornado force came to Jia Yan's side. He was also a genius who advanced to the top 10, but compared to Jia Yan, his battles were not very good. He lost more than he won in the previous few games. Okay, thank you, Jia Yan nodded. In the next game, as expected, the genius of the tornado force met Jia Yan, and he directly chose to admit defeat, although Jia Yan believed that even if he did not admit defeat, he could not waste much of Jia Yan's energy. Exciting battles have passed, and the battle for the first place among the strongest in this session is about to begin. Before this battle that attracts everyone's attention, let's take a look at the battle between powerful and powerful geniuses in this session. The biggest dark horse, Jia Yan, who is also one of the contenders for the championship, must be in the past battle of this session. When the battle reached the final battle, which was also the pinnacle championship battle among the strongest in the second level, Jia Yan slowly walked out of the arena. And on the entire star, his battles in this genius battle were played out. The playback of these scenes made the audience suddenly realize that Jia Yan, the venerable person, not only participated in the second level of the strongman battle, but also wasted a certain amount of physical energy at the venerable level. In this way, he also entered the second round of the strong championship competition. Is this still the venerable? The battle history accompanying Jia Yan was played, and then came the opponent, and the opponent's image was played in the starry sky above the star. This is a giant scorpion-like monster. His battles are extremely fierce, and blood often appears in every battle. Jia Yan, I want to defeat you. After the opponent came to the battle circle, he directly pointed his pliers at Jia Yan and issued a pre-match declaration. He. Jia Yan shook his head. The audience in the audience did not think that Jia Yan was showing off this time, because he had previously defeated the tentative second place, and the first place was not much stronger than the second place, so Jia Yan's mocking performance did not. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm furious. This scorpion monster seemed to have a hard time using its head. Seeing Jia Yan's appearance, he charged directly. Dang 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 dang. Jia Yan's front foot collided with the strong man this time. Because the power is still not comparable to the existence of the second pass strong level, Jia Yan will be smashed hundreds of meters away every time. Haha, lose. Seeing that Jia Yan was unable to backhand, the opponent's big scorpion monster laughed loudly, then raised its large pincers, aimed at Jia Yan's head, and smashed it down hard. Puff. What responded to his crazy smile was a foot that appeared from nowhere and lightly pierced his forehead. I didn't want to kill anyone, but who makes me dislike you? The last thing the first strong man heard were Jia Yan's words. Jia Yan, Jia Yan, Jia Yan wins. Jia Yan, this venerable genius, won the first place among the strongest in the second level. My God, the commentator's almost crazy voice resounded throughout the entire stadium and outside. Thanks to the book friend, no money in my pocket for the tip. Please subscribe to the official version. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Reborn as an Interstellar Giant Mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 887. Click here to read on mobile phone. Bulletin U experienced a shocking scene just now. After thinking about it, I feel that I should tell the story and let all book friends take me as a warning and pay special attention to all aspects of safety issues. Today is still considered the spring festival, and the family is going to visit relatives for dinner, but Bulletin U did not choose to go out to eat together because he had to update his novel. Tasting books. I usually lie down in bed around 5 o'clock in the evening and take a nap, preparing to be woken up by my cell phone alarm clock at 7 o'clock to eat and code. As a result, When Buletinyu was sleeping deeply, he felt a huge brightness in front of his eyes, like the night was illuminated by car headlights. He opened his eyes in surprise and suddenly found a person in front of him. The light source came from the headlight above his head. Because of the lighting problem, I couldn't see his appearance clearly. I was so frightened that I almost thought I was still dreaming. I was so shocked that I shouted, "What are you doing?" Then this person didn't say anything, but walked out of my room very funny, and then, he also opened the door by the way. Buletinyu was of course extremely shocked. How could something like this happen even though he was sleeping? He immediately thought it was a thief, so he quickly turned on his phone and looked at it to turn on the light, but it didn't turn on. Buletinyu slept with noise-proof headphones on. As soon as he took them off, he noticed that there was something like a high-power machine buzzing outside the room, and the whole house was vibrating. I thought, how could this thief be so bold and get a machine into the house, so I quickly opened the door and rushed out of the room. Then, the scene outside the door made Buletinyu even think it was a dream. I saw 4 or 5 people in firefighting suits outside the hall, each with a headlight. The vibrating machine was a huge vertical exhaust fan in the hall of my house. The door of my house was open, and several neighbors outside looked at me with wide eyes as I rushed out of the room. They were so confused and embarrassed. You must know that Bayu was sleeping and had unkempt hair. Buletinyu is such a fool that he almost doubts his life. Fortunately, Bayu soon discovered that there was smoke all over the room. Feeling that something had happened, he rushed to a firefighter and asked, "What's going on?" The guy's response, "It's okay." I wanted to burst out, so I quickly asked, "What are you doing in my house?" "You didn't know your house was about to burn down." Fortunately, another firefighter answered my question. Only then did I finally know what was going on. It turned out that the smoke came from my own home. Then they told Bayu that my family probably forgot to turn off the pot when they went out to cook. The pot burned through and the whole house was filled with smoke. The first one who discovered it was my next door neighbor. They were having a treat. After they felt the smoke, all the guests fled downstairs. The male host boldly climbed to Buletinyu from his window and turned off my liquefied gas. The police were also called. And the people in the whole building have now fled downstairs, as well as the people in the next door house, about 100 or 200 people. It can be said to be a sea of people. What's even more funny is that Bayu stayed in his room to sleep the whole time, and no one knew that Bayu was at home. As a result, 3 fire trucks came and they were still working outside in the living room for a long time. If the firefighter hadn't jumped into the room and finally woke me up, otherwise they would have finished everything and I might still be sleeping. This incident is a warning to everyone that we really need to pay attention to safety, especially when it comes to fire prevention. We really need to be careful. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Buletinyu. Chapter 888. Moiwan Literature Network. For more information, please log in to the unique address of Moiwan Literature Network, mobile reading login. Welcome your visit /U003E/U003E/U003E. Jia Yan's victory this time seemed possible, but actually happening in front of all living things was still extremely shocking. No matter how powerful Jia Yan is, he is still a venerable person in the eyes of countless creatures. Even though he was temporarily ranked second after destroying the second pass genius, he still cannot change his image of being weak in the eyes of these creatures. In this last fight, the audience still thought that Jia Yan would lose, or lose suddenly due to lack of physical fitness, or lose because of insufficient fighting experience. But now Jia Yan simply spoke with facts, without giving any chance to his opponent, and directly defeated or even killed the first person to be imprisoned this time. Oh! Jia Yan! Every audience member who had bought Jia Yan's victory before started shouting. This. The major figures in the tornado force were all stunned for a long time. Then they all stood up and shouted, "Jia Yan, well done." Tai was stunned for a long time in disbelief, and then he let out a long breath. Haha, this Jia Yan is probably a high-level genius. He was shocked, but also happy at the same time, because no matter whether Jia Yan was a high-level genius or not, he represented their tornado force and won the first place in the second-level genius level. Of course, compared to other viewers, the creatures of the tornado force were not so shocked. After all, they had already seen that among the geniuses of their force, Jia Yan was the first to pass the test. As for the surrounding audience, the existence of powerful forces and other forces, they all couldn't believe it at all, and even doubted their lives. A venerable person can win the first place in the second level of my powerful force. Is it possible that the genius of my powerful force is so unbearable? A powerful second-level person had some doubts about his own genius. It's impossible. There must be something fishy. There's no way a person who participates in the sub-level with a powerful genius can be so weak. Everyone doubted the existence of life, and looked at Jia Yan in the center of the scene with somewhat shocked eyes. But Jia Yan didn't react much. After hearing the news that he had won, he calmly stepped down. To him, winning is normal. If you can't even win against someone who is in the second level, how can you fight against someone who is the first and a half-star level person in Urshan's power in a few months? In the player seats on the sidelines, several semi-star geniuses looked at Jia Yan with fire-breathing eyes. They dared not speak out in anger. Because these people are the top leaders of the forces that have been tentatively ranked first. Now Jia Yan ran kills them for the first time in front of all the audience and major influencers. This is simply your face. This Jia Yan has gone too far, we must kill him. No, I think his talent is probably a high-level genius. If we really attack him, he might provoke some big forces. What should we do? Are we going to let him go like this? A half-star person looked at Jia Yan as if he wanted to tear him into pieces. You must know that the second-level genius who is tentatively ranked first is the treasure of their entire force, although he is not a middle-class genius. A genius, but still an excellent talent. If you train him well, he is destined to be the mainstay of the force in the future. We'll go talk to Jia Yan later and take a look at his tone. If there's no big force behind him, then we'll try to act on his own initiative. The one who made the decision was a half-star, and the aura on him was so terrifying that it even made the surrounding half-stars of the same level feel frightened. He is a relatively big one among the semi-stellar geniuses. At least among the powerful geniuses, he belongs to the terrifying semi-stellar force. Before they can take action, there will be a reward distribution meeting for the second passer level. The name Jia Yan was being discussed around the entire stadium. This venerable level monster not only won the first place in the venerable level in one breath, but also shockingly won the first place in the second level. It can be said that he is a dark horse. Jia Yan, you did a good job. A powerful semi-star came to Jia Yan. There was an attribute box floating next to him, just like when he was first in the venerable level. This was his reward. Thank you for the compliment, Jia Yan responded with a smile. Just like when Lu won first place in the venerable level before, Jia Yan got the box after a brief championship speech. Sure enough, there is still a star core body. Jia Yan felt the things in the box and nodded lightly. With this star core body again, he knew that his strength would be improved again, and there might be some other things in it that would be useful to him. After this award distribution, the entire arena calmed down a little, and some viewers thought that this year's contestant, Jia Yan, would be the most powerful, and next, even a greater semi-star genius would, and there can be no process of attracting people. After all, Jia Yan, the dark horse, was really over the top. No matter how fierce the semi-star level fight was, there would never be a scene that could surpass this high level. Jia Yan stepped down. What greeted him were the tornado forces. Jia Yan, our tornado force is very grateful for your help. With your exposure this time, the popularity of our tornado force has also increased a lot, thank you. Tai was the first to thank Jia Yan. He knew that Jia Yan's participation in this competition was based on the name of their tornado force, and Jia Yan won every game, especially getting the first place in the level of the second passer. It took countless passes to create a sensation, and this was the opportunity for their tornado forces to show their faces across a large swath of the starry sky. So he thanked Jia Yan. "You're welcome, we're just exchanging benefits." Jia Yan nodded lightly. "Yes, the items we promised Mr. Jia Yan will be given to you soon. Now that the fight is over, you can have a good rest." A high-ranking official from the side of a star and a half said respectfully to Jia Yan. Jia Yan did not answer. Unknown to everyone, others thought that Jia Yan could rest now, because the half-star genius had nothing to do with him, but Jia Yan himself understood that his previous performance was just hot. The real fight begins now. Everyone thought that after walking to the sidelines, they would never come out again. They could only take out the dough they had taken photos of before and the memories in their minds to recall the crazy performance of this genius. What a classic genius, a venerable one, who was able to win the championships of the venerable and secondary levels in a row. What's even more terrifying is that he hasn't even reached the peak of the Supreme Master yet. This talent is so terrifying. If I want to see a similar fight in the future, I probably won't know if there will be a chance in this lifetime. Every audience member remembered it. At this moment, the half-star genius is about to start under the explanation of the commentator. There are more contestants participating in the Weibengzingzing Genius competition this time than in the previous competition. This means that the talents of this force are getting more and more attention. I hope that this time, there will be dark horses who can stand out. Okay, now we invite the 300 geniuses from half-star to come on stage. Lord Hung Chong. Lord Ru Shui. Lord Mountain Dew. A contestant's name was shouted out by the commentator. After the shouting, a half-star contestant flew up from the player seats in the audience. They are all contestants, and semi-star geniuses are already at the top level in this field of genius. Although the difference between them is huge, this does not prevent them from getting the cheers of the audience. Huh? There is a sub-level candidate here participating in the semi-star talent competition. Let's cheer for this warrior. He is the Ice King from our powerful force. When the commentator introduced a certain person, he paused deliberately, and then said the person's name loudly and incitingly. Following his words, a monster that was slightly smaller than the surrounding half-star level players slowly flew onto the stage. He ignored the gazes of half-star geniuses and endured the pressure to join these contestants. It's His Excellency Ice King. This person seems to be the first passer of the powerful force. I asked him why he didn't come to participate in the second pass. It turned out that he signed up for the semi-star level fight. It's scary. A sub-level person dares to participate in a semi-star fight. It seems that he is very sure of his own strength. He might actually be able to win a match. Winning a game? I don't think it's easy. The strength of a half-star genius is much greater than that of a second-level talent. Even if he faces a weak half-star, it will be difficult for him to win. Every audience member was extremely attentive to the powerful person on stage. Originally, such things would not attract much attention. Every few games, there will always be some underqualified players who overestimate their abilities and become half-star geniuses. However, these underqualified players will usually fail in the first battle. But Jia Yan's previous performance made these audiences very interested in leapfrog participation. The powerful commentator continued to shout his name while smiling in his heart. Only he knows that of course the second-level player in his own force is not strong enough to fight against most of the semi-stars, but this is not a problem for the powerful forces. You must know that they are the organizers. This force has been prepared just now. The first opponent of this force's second-tier player is the weakest among the half-stars participating. At that time, His Excellency the Ice King of our force will be able to show his face once, so that the entire talent's limelight will not be stolen by the foreign aid genius of the tornado force. The commentator thought with some sarcasm. But the next moment, when he announced the entry form, he suddenly stopped. Because, he saw an incredible contestant information. Well, let's welcome the next contestant, His Excellency MOK of the Venerable level, to the stage, he said in a daze. The next chapter may not be available, if not it will be added tomorrow, sorry SI. For more information, please log in to the unique address of Moiwan Literature Network, mobile phone reading login. Welcome your visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 889. Venerable level to participate in the semi-star level genius battle? I have never seen this. A few times in my long career as a commentator. And the few times I saw them, they were all weak people with weird tempers who came to cause trouble. Any semi-star player who encounters this venerable person would feel like he just picked it up. And his voice made the audience stunned for a moment, and then they all burst into laughter. Venerable? This venerable is so funny. He actually dares to participate in the semi-star genius battle. It's just for fun. Call him MOK, right? Such a venerable person really brings discredit to the venerable class. Sure enough, there are all kinds of people among geniuses. The former Master Jia Yan was also a venerable person. He brings shame to the entire venerable class. This is called MOK. To put it bluntly, you are embarrassing the venerable level. I am laughing to death, and you are still participating in the semi-star genius battle? I am speechless. That's right. After seeing such a distinguished person as Lord Jia Yan, does MOK still dare to go on stage and embarrass himself? In contrast, he is a shame to the Lord, while Lord Jia Yan is an honor to the Lord. The audience was dumbfounded. Jia Yan, a powerful venerable, had left a very dazzling image on people before, but now in this half-star genius battle, there is actually a venerable who dares to participate in the battle? This mindless behavior simply brings shame to the venerable class. Compared with Master Jia Yan, it makes people don't know whether to laugh or cry. Even the geniuses among the tornado forces thought so. Haha, this guy called MOK still dares to come on stage after our Excellency Jia Yan broke out? I don't think he even dares to come on stage. That's right, I don't think Moke dares to go up there. If he goes up and gets compared and scolded by others, how dare he go up? Anyway, he just goes up and admits defeat. The venerable and powerful men from the tornado forces all looked around with smiles, wondering which of the silly forces named MOK dared to take the stage. Sorry, please give way. Just as a venerable monster was looking around, a familiar voice came from beside him. This voice was too familiar to him. Isn't it the voice of Lord Jia Yan, who is extremely respected by the entire tornado force? Okay, Your Excellency Jia Yan, please come over. The venerable turned around and saw that it was Jia Yan behind him, so he quickly moved away. He didn't dare to offend Jia Yan, and since Jia Yan talked to him, he could use it to show off to his friends when he went back. He saw Jia Yan approaching the edge of the fighting platform, and seemed to have lost his mind somewhere, so he started talking to Jia Yan. Haha, Master Jia Yan, you also want to see clearly who the fool is who dares to sign up for the semi-star genius competition. I also think this guy is funny. He is so stupid. Following the venerable's words, Jia Yan, who was approaching the edge of the battle platform, turned around and glanced at him. The venerable man was overjoyed. If Mr. Jia Yan said one more word to him, he would have something to show off in the future. But what he didn't expect was that Jia Yan's eyes seemed a little strange. Then, when he saw Jia Yan on the edge of the fighting platform, he jumped slightly. Actually got on the battlefield? Every audience and contestant is laughing. Then why hasn't MOK come on stage yet? It seems he really doesn't dare to. I don't dare to do it. He is simply not a genius. Who knows this MOK? Tell me which one it is. I will show him a good look next time I see him. Just when they were all laughing at MOK, an eagle-eyed spectator saw Jia Yan jumping onto the stage lightly on the sidelines. Hey, isn't that Mr. Jia Yan? Why did he come to power? Does he want to say something meaningful to this MOK? That's right, I guess His Excellency Jia Yan also wants to express his dissatisfaction with that MOK. For the same venerable person, there is such an embarrassing MOK. It is almost a shame for Your Excellency Jia Yan. Jia Yan came to the stage, but no one thought that Jia Yan would come to the stage to fight. When the referee saw Jia Yan coming onto the stage, although he understood what Jia Yan wanted to say, he still flew forward dutifully. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I understand what you want to say to NAMOK, but now is the time for the contestants to take the stage. You can't come up. If you want to say anything, we can give you a microphone. It's against the rules to come up. The referee was very kind to Jia Yan. Although Jia Yan came on stage and broke the rules, no one dared to speak softly to such a genius. Haha, that MOK made His Excellency Jia Yan angry, right? How could a genius like Mr. Jia Yan tolerate another venerable person actually making fun of him? The surrounding audience even disliked MOK. Taejin from the Tornado Force was shocked when he saw Jia Yan actually jumping onto the fighting platform, and then he also flew forward. Your Excellency Jia Yan, come down here. It's not too late for you to teach this MOK a lesson later. It's during the Genius War now, he said. Come down, that MOK probably won't even dare to show his face. Another half-star strongman from the Tornado Force also said the same. The referee also looked at Jia Yan in front of him with friendly eyes. Well, Jia Yan was a little embarrassed. After being stunned for a while, he unleashed his brainwave power, and his voice echoed throughout the arena. Sorry everyone, I am that MOK. His voice still had that light flavor. Apart from being a little embarrassed, it was also Jia Yan's unique clear voice. But when this sound was heard by the audience and the players on the sidelines, it was an uproar. What? Did I hear wrongly? Jia Yan said that he is the MOK who dared to sign up for the battle between half-star warriors. It's impossible. How could a genius like Jia Yan do such a mindless thing? There must be something wrong. Compared to the astonishment of the audience, the referee next to Jia Yan was stunned. Even Taejin of the Tornado Force was slightly shocked and didn't know what to say. Jia Yan, you said you are MOK? Don't be kidding, Taejin asked with some difficulty. That's right, Jia Yan, if you want to clear your venerable name, you don't need to cover up for MOK. You must know that our registration system has video evidence collection. You don't need to and can't help him. The referee was also a little confused. Words. Jia Yan looked at the two, then shook his head. He solemnly said, you too, when I signed up before, I also used the name Moke to sign up for a half-star level battle. I'm sorry, but this Moke is really me. Jia Yan, why did you sign up for a semi-star battle? Wasn't your previous reputation enough to satisfy you? You are destroying your reputation, Taejin said in a loud voice, a little anxious. I'm sorry, I want to see the gap between my own strength and that of a semi-star genius. Jia Yan apologized. He understands that his strength should still be weak compared to a semi-star strong person. If he loses easily in the first game, it will only completely break the reputation he created before, and the reputation gained by the Tornado Force will also be greatly reduced. But Jia Yan came to the 132-star sector just to fight against the half-star powerhouse. How could he miss this opportunity? Taejin looked at Jia Yan speechlessly. Then he couldn't say anything, and finally shook his head helplessly. After all, Jia Yan was not a subordinate in his power, nor was he a genius he wanted to offend, so he couldn't say harsh words. That's all, Your Excellency Jia Yan, I hope you can be careful. The strength you have shown is simply not enough against a half-star powerhouse. Also, you may also encounter me and other half-star powerhouses from the Tornado Force. Isn't this one's own family fighting one's own family? Well, I won't say more, but in short, when you encounter an opponent that is impossible to defeat, you must remember to admit defeat. I understand, Jia Yan agreed. After their conversation was over, the entire arena finally realized that Jia Yan was none other than MOK, and MOK was none other than Jia Yan. It's ridiculous. Jia Yan is so ridiculous. He actually changed his name to MOK and participated in the half-star battle. This Jia Yan is really too arrogant. It is not enough for a venerable master to win the first place among the venerable masters and Sigwan powerful men. He actually thinks that he can compare with a half-star genius. It's so ridiculous. Fortunately, I admired him before, but now I know that he is completely a stupid boy who doesn't know the heights of heaven and earth. The audience instantly reversed their favorable impression of Jia Yan, and one by one they started to ridicule Jia Yan. It's not their fault. It's very rare for a venerable person to defeat a strong person in a second level. But he still wants to defeat the semi-star genius? This is all a dream. Semi-stellar geniuses are known as the top combat power in the genius battlefield. It is not a lie. Although there are strong and weak geniuses at this level, the strong ones can even defeat a star level in 2 moves. A weak one may even be defeated by a powerful sub-level expert, but a venerable person who wants to fight a half-star expert across 2 levels can only be said to be mentally retarded. Of course, unless this venerable genius is an extremely powerful high-level genius, or even a top genius, it is possible to defeat a semi-star genius. The audience does not think that Jia Yan is a powerful high-level genius. As for a top-level genius, they have never thought about it. Okay, everyone, please shut up. Since Your Excellency Jia Yan wants to see my powerful semi-stellar genius fight, let him come on stage. After the battle, this Excellency will surely know what a semi-stellar genius is. The words of the half-star commentator were already a little cold. A venerable person, no matter how powerful he was, could stir up trouble in their powerful genius battle again and again, and even now wants to use the venerable's body was participating in the half-star genius battle. This was disrespectful to the entire half-star geniuses, which made him slightly sulky. Okay, let's continue with the roll call. After the roll call is completed, the half-star genius battle will begin, he said. What the commentator, Jia Yan on the field, the contestants, and the audience on the sidelines didn't know was when Jia Yan came to the stage. High in the starry sky, an extremely huge monster was hidden in the dark background of the universe. Not even the semi-stellar powerhouse present, nor Jia Yan, could find a trace of him. Haha, this Jia Yan is really interesting. This huge monster showed a faint smile. His eyes were focused more on Jia Yan. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 890. Moiwan Literature Network. For more information, please log in to the unique address of Moiwan Literature Network, mobile reading login. Welcome your visit /U003E/U003E/U003E. The countless creatures below did not know that there was that terrifying star-level person in the sky, but they were watching a certain genius. But they knew that among the geniuses in this field, there was a star. Under the attention of countless spectators and contestants, Jia Yan slowly took the stage. Jia Yan automatically filters out comments that are unfriendly to him. Boy, are you overestimating your abilities and coming to join our half-star class? Fortunately, I thought highly of you before. A passing half-star person snorted coldly at Jia Yan. Jia Yan turned around, glanced at the other person, and came to his side without any rebuttal. Next, The semi-star contestants were all named, but the surrounding audience and even the contestants themselves did not pay much attention to others and just looked in the direction of Jia Yan. This Jia Yan has stolen too much limelight, and now he actually wants to participate in a semi-star level fight. This not only destroys the good impression he created before, but also makes countless people around him think that Jia Yan is an unreasonable man. Genius. Okay, now the first fight begins. Except for the two sides, everyone else should end. After a brief ceremony, the commentator said something to order the redundant contestants to leave and free up the field for both sides in the first round. The creatures and the audience relaxed their minds a little and watched. The first battle really caught everyone's attention instantly. It is indeed a semi-star level fight. There is no comparison between the previous Venerable Master and the second level Master. Then Jia Yan will realize that he is just a clown trying to please others. Is it possible for him to participate in a fight of this level as an honorable person? It's simply a joke. Every audience member saw the semi-star talent in the first game, and they all sneered at Jia Yan on the sidelines. Jia Yan was not too affected. A semi-star genius is really not that great. Jia Yan couldn't help but sigh from the bottom of his heart when he saw the first two players on the field. He has no confidence that he can win against this opponent. Jia Yan understands that at the semi-star level, he really doesn't have many advantages. Even if he meets anyone casually, he might lose, but he can't. After the two fights passed, the commentator on the field was slightly startled, and then announced the names of the two sides for the next fight with a hint of ridicule. The next battle is between the two sides, Jia Yan and Xian Da. Please come on. The entire audience was stunned for a moment, and then not only the audience on the sidelines instantly became noisy, but even the semi-star who failed in the previous game showed a trace of interest and put aside his regrets about losing. The back of the head. Jia Yan was stunned for a moment, and then went on stage without much fear. As soon as he got on stage, he saw his opponent also came on stage overjoyed. This is a monster that looks somewhat similar to a bear. He is a muscular man, and you can tell at a glance that he is a monster with infinite strength. Haha, Jia Yan, I didn't expect that the first game would be with you. It seems that I have won a victory. The opponent is more than 200 meters tall, and the prostrate Jia Yan, who is only more than 20 meters tall, are two completely different levels of existence. There was obviously some excitement in his words. He seemed not to have much confidence in other fights. Meeting Jia Yan was a complete surprise. I advise seniors not to underestimate me. Jia Yan was not angered by the other party. Well, I won't underestimate you if you can get the first place in the venerable and secondary levels, but you are still a venerable now, so you are still too weak. When you advance to the secondary levels, you might have a chance to defeat me. The other party pretended to be giving guidance to the juniors. Okay, you two, the fight has begun. Please don't say anything. The commentator on the side of the stage urged the two to fight. Jia Yan, I'll let you attack first, and I won't fight back for 10 moves. The bear monster told Jia Yan very loudly. After all, in his opinion, he was not afraid of a venerable attack, no matter how big it was. Okay, senior, be careful. Jia Yan didn't say much and rushed out of his body in an instant. Haha, the speed is not bad, a little faster than the average second-level passer. The bear-like half-star monster smiled faintly. He looked at Jia Yan as if he were a junior, and he was really giving advice on Jia Yan's feelings. Jia Yan, however, remained calm. Just before his charge was about to reach the bear monster, his body suddenly disappeared and entered the subspace. Oh, I forgot that you are also a space genius. The semi-stellar genius nodded slightly and looked at an empty space with praise. Then he slapped it out with his palm as big as a cattail leaf. Jia Yan just shot out of the space, trying to repeat his old tricks and attack the opponent's rear. But the bear monster was able to see through the subspace and directly hit Jia Yan's body that had just flown out. Puff! There was a shadow that was severely smashed into the space, and it hit the ground not far away with a bang. Haha, let me tell you, this Jia Yan lost in one blow. This kind of fool is just like me. Thinking that he has won the first place in the second level, he dares to tease a half-star genius. It's like a brain twitch. Same. Who says it isn't? It's ridiculous to be defeated in one blow. One after another, the audience saw Jia Yan being knocked away by a single blow, and then burst into laughter. You must know that Jia Yan had never been so embarrassed before, and now he is so embarrassed when he reaches out to the half-star genius. Just like Jia Yan's own face. Who dared him to surpass 2 levels of half-star geniuses? Every audience and contestant felt extremely relieved. This blow completely destroyed Jia Yan's previous image of a tall and talented man, making him a laughingstock. If there were no accidents, Jia Yan would have lost. Haha, Jia Yan, I hope you don't blame me, I am keeping you here. The bear monster scratched its head helplessly, feeling that he was still too cruel. But just when all the monsters thought that Jia Yan was bound to be defeated, in the smoke-filled place, a light voice rose in response. Really? No wonder the force of this blow is not very strong. Senior, you don't have to hold back. A monster emitting a faint blue light slowly flew out from the land of smoke, as if it were an ancient beast with a ferocious appearance, making people feel shocked. One by one, the audience saw the flying monster. They were all a little shocked to see that the flying monster was actually Jia Yan. It's just that Jia Yan is no longer dark, but black with a faint blue brilliance, and that brilliance does not look like a simple thing. Jia Yan, you can take a blow with 50% of my strength. It seems that I underestimate you. The bear monster was shocked, and there was a hint of embarrassment in its eyes. He was a half-star, and when he attacked a venerable man, he was unable to take him down with just one blow. Although he held back his hand, he still felt embarrassed. Since you think you can withstand my full strength, then give it a try. The bear monster can also be regarded as a decisive killing entity. Seeing that Jia Yan can actually block his own casual blow, he changed his mind. Hard SI. Boom. The next moment, Jia Yan felt his body tighten. The half-star's power to control the world was used like a force, and then he felt that a terrifying force completely enveloped him. Jia Yan was told to give 10 moves to the bear monster. In anger, he spoiled his words and started attacking. There was something strange in Jia Yan's eyes. He was deliberately attacked by the other party before, just to make this group of viewers and fans not to underestimate him. But now he finally faced the other party's best posture, and he achieved his goal. Jia Yanku entered the subspace. As for the bear monster that struck fiercely, there was no doubt about it. It struck directly into the space, trying to force Jia Yan out of the space. But what surprised him was that Jia Yan was shocked by the huge force in the subspace and did not fall out. But after the earthquake, he mysteriously escaped to the opponent's side, and then his forefoot magically appeared on the opponent's abdomen, gently taking away a trace of blood. Can you actually hurt me? The bear monster felt the power of Jia Yan's blow, but it didn't think about it and still hurt him. Jia Yan can really hurt a half-star, this and this. The commentator was also a little stunned on the high platform. Everyone can see that the current bear monster did not hold back and played to the high level expected of a semi-star, but Jia Yanyi was able to hurt the opponent. Does this mean that Jia Yan can really fight a half-star? This Jia Yan. The commentator looked at the offense and defense on the court in a daze, and then didn't know what to say. A venerable person can actually fight with a half-star, even if he is at a disadvantage, but this is still something that can make countless creatures drop their jaws. Have fun. This is fighting. No one knows that Jia Yan is extremely happy now. His body appeared on the side of the bear monster, but the opponent had already figured out his attack form. Before he appeared, a palm struck down. Jia Yan had just received the blow, but when he exploded, his body entered the next time space. Throughout the whole process, Jia Yan could feel the overwhelming control power of the semi-star, but he was not too affected. Puff, boom, boom. The entire field was like sparks hitting the earth, with countless flames and flames shining continuously. This doesn't look like a fight between a venerable and a half-star. It's basically a fight between two half-stars, right? On the side of the tornado forces, Tai looked at the fighting scene on the field and was completely shocked. Before this, he knew that Jia Yan was very talented, but he could never imagine that his true fighting power had reached this level. High genius, absolutely high genius. Tai thought a little excitedly. Please read the original version. For more information, please log in to the unique address of Moiwan Literature Network, mobile phone reading login. Welcome your visit. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 891. Click here to read on mobile phone. Chapter 14 is crazy, the world is crazy. Book tasting. Ask for genuine subscription. The shock that Jia Yan brought to all living things is far more than that. In his battle with the bear monster, he was still at a disadvantage at first, but as the battle between the two sides slowly unfolded, Jia Yan seemed to be familiar with the opponent's fighting mode, and the battle situation began to change in a direction that no one could believe. This bear monster has very keen senses, but its weakness is that it is not fast enough. And its attack power is much stronger than mine. But as long as I am careful not to be attacked from the front, I will not be in danger. Jia Yan, who was at full strength, was fighting the opponent while analyzing the current battle situation. His azure defense is the guarantee of his life, and his spatial talent is a combat weapon. With his physical advantage, Jia Yan doesn't believe he can't compete with his opponent. Bang! The two clashed in the air again, and this time Jia Yan was still severely knocked away. The strength of this bear monster is stronger than the half-star strong man I killed before. But my strength has also improved recently. It is not difficult to defeat him. After Jia Yan fought against the opponent again and again, he became familiar with the opponent's tactics, and began to avoid confrontation with the opponent head-on. Instead, he looked for openings and launched sneak attacks. Puff! The bear monster was hit on the back by Jia Yan again. Hateful! The bear-like semi-star powerhouse suddenly struck behind, but Jia Yan had quickly retreated into the subspace. Although Jia Yan was still forced out of the subspace under this palm, his body appeared 100 meters away without any damage. How could this happen? Feeling that Jia Yan had rapidly improved his combat ability during the battle, the bear monster pursued him unwillingly. But before that, Jia Yan took a step back, and then the opponent's bear paw came, but he could only sweep one of his feet. After receiving this blow, Jia Yan's body became deviated forward, but he turned this deviation into an attack, directly stabbing the bear monster on the shoulder with a front foot. Blood bursts out, and the bear monster is already bloody after dozens of rounds of confrontation. It no longer has the senior demeanor that it showed just now as a semi-star genius. Senior, just admit defeat, I can't promise to be merciful to you. After Jia Yan dodged the opponent's blow again, he uttered this sentence like a mockery. The entire battlefield, both inside and outside the battlefield, was unable to speak to itself for a long time because of these words. Just now, everyone thought that Jia Yan should admit defeat, but just now, these words came out of Jia Yan's mouth. All the creatures in the room seemed to have been slapped by Jia Yan, causing burning pain. Bastard, how could the bear monster admit defeat? Now in a state of complete irritation, he clapped his palms together and struck in the direction of Jia Yan. This is the most powerful blow of this bear-like half-star monster. It is usually a move he uses to kill his enemies, but now he actually uses it against Jia Yan. It can be said that he is desperate. Seeing this blow, Jia Yan retreated into the subspace without haste. Although the entire subspace was unstable due to the vibration of the opponent's power, Jia Yan was only shaken out of the subspace after dozens of meters, and was not hurt in the slightest. Jia Yan gradually became familiar with the opponent's attack methods, and at the same time, he gradually became able to withstand the control power of the half-star powerhouse. After getting familiar with it, there are many ways to deal with it. It is this kind of familiarity that Jia Yan needs. As long as he is familiar with the combat mode of the semi-stellar genius, he feels that he can go further. When the bear monster saw that his strongest attack was dodged by Jia Yan, and became even more uneasy, Jia Yan used his brainwave power to control the opponent for the first time. No matter how you look at it, it looks like a joke for a venerable man to use his brainwave power to control a half-star powerhouse. That little bit of power couldn't have the slightest impact on the half-star powerhouse. But all Jia Yan needs is a little influence. It's just a job. The bear monster felt its body tighten, and then sneered and broke away from Jia Yan's control. But at this moment, Jia Yan had quickly crossed a distance of dozens of meters and came to the opponent's body. Pi! A bloody flower appeared on the battlefield. I surrender. Immediately afterwards, the somewhat frightened voice of the bear monster was transmitted and spread throughout the entire battlefield. It turned out that his chest was directly stabbed by Jia Yan, and his feet were deeply pierced into the chest. As long as Jia Yan burst out a brainwave power, he could destroy the opponent's internal organs and kill the opponent. The whole auditorium was silent as they watched the previous series of battles. Because no one thought that Jia Yan, the arrogant venerable, could fight so fiercely with a semi-stellar genius. Being able to block a bear monster's attack already surprised the whole audience, but what they didn't expect was that Jia Yan would fight fiercely with the bear monster right after, seemingly evenly matched. At this time, the entire stadium was completely silent, but when the balance of the battle gradually tilted towards Jia Yan's direction, the entire arena fell into a deathly silence. At this moment, Jia Yan actually almost killed his opponent, the bear-like semi-stellar genius, with one blow. The whole battlefield continued to be quiet for a while. Wow! The whole place was boiling. This is crazy, this world is crazy. Is there something wrong with my eyes? Did Jia Yan win? A venerable man beat a half-star genius. No, there must be something wrong with my head. I actually saw that arrogant Jia Yan defeating a half-star strong man. Oh my god, I have to go to the hospital. After each of the spectators and the powerful contestants expressed their shock and horror, the commentator who was watching all this from the high platform seemed to have just remembered his duty. Everyone, we just witnessed it with our own eyes. Our super dark horse player Jia Yan actually continued his performance in a battle against a semi-star genius. He won. A venerable man won half a star. Stellar genius. The entire battle circle erupted into bursts of noise, and the major media surrounding the shooting and live broadcast were even more crazy at this moment. 132 Several large media outlets only used part of their sections to talk about Jia Yan, a dark horse player. But this time, after he actually defeated a semi-star genius, almost all the media turned into all-round large-scale reports. A venerable being able to defeat a half-star genius is almost something that has never been recorded in the entire history of the 132nd sector. Player Jia Yan must be a distinguished high-level genius. Our 132-star district can actually attract a high-level talent to come here. This can be said to be the wrong Xian of our 132-star district. Oh my god, to be able to defeat a semi-star genius with the strength of a venerable person, even a peak venerable, is completely beyond my imagination. Is it possible that our ordinary geniuses can compete with high-level geniuses? Is there such a big difference between levels of genius? At the end of the battle, Jia Yan flew down from the fighting platform, and what greeted him were the geniuses of the tornado force with unexcited eyes. Jia Yan, I don't even know what to say. In short, I apologize for my attitude of looking down on you just now. The existence of your kind of talent is beyond my ability to understand. Taejin was the first to greet him. He spoke respectfully and apologized to Jia Yan. Your Excellency Jia Yan, I also apologize to you for my previous gaffe. I'm sorry, I underestimated you just now. Another half-star executive also apologized to Jia Yan. He was the one who had doubted Jia Yan before. It doesn't matter. Actually, I don't know if I can win. Jia Yan shook his head nonchalantly. Look, this is the mind of a high-level genius. You bastards should learn from me, Taejin shouted at the subordinates around him. The embarrassment with Jia Yan was completely wiped out by this joke, which shows that this senior executive still has some tricks up his sleeve. The subsequent battles between the remaining strongmen all became colorless. You must know that a venerable's victory over a half-star strongman not only means that his combat power is incredible, but also means that this venerable is at least a high-level genius. Even high-level geniuses with average combat power may not be able to do it. Such a thing. That Jia Yan is too scary, at least he is a high-level genius. When we meet him next, do we dare to fight? Such a genius, as long as he reaches the next level of power, he may be able to sweep our forces. Forget it, let's be cool when we meet him later, otherwise he will remember us in the future and our power will be destroyed in a matter of minutes. Several half-star geniuses participating in the competition were all whispering. They are afraid. A high-level genius not only represents extremely powerful combat power, but also represents his improvement speed, which is much faster than other geniuses. Don't look at Jia Yan now, he is a being that even the venerables can't reach. It can be said that maybe he will become a strong person in the next level in a few years, and by that time, his strength may not be able to be defeated by even a half-star strong person in the entire 132-star sector. Besides, the force behind this kind of genius is absolutely fearless. Any powerful semi-stellar expert can destroy any force in the 132-star district. After a round of fighting, the half-star experts on the stage decided the winner one after another, but the battle scene was not very beautiful. The first game of the second round, Jia Yan vs Suo Bibo. In the first round of the second round of the semi-star battle, the commentator said a name that shocked the whole audience. Jia Yan takes the stage again. Your Excellency Jia Yan, win again. Master Jia Yan, I love you. This time on stage was different from the previous one. Jia Yan was startled to find that the public opinion around the battlefield had completely reversed, and everyone in the audience loved him. His opponent showed a hint of fear. Jia Yan posed, preparing for the second battle. But the other party's words made Jia Yan feel dumbfounded. Your Excellency Jia Yan, your strength is too strong, I give up, said the half-star genius. Well. Thank you to the book friend. There is a black cat for your 500 starting coin reward, to the book friend 1401041222042307307 for your 500 starting coin reward, and to everyone who has subscribed to the original version. Thank you. This book comes from pin/u0026shu hashtag. The source of this book is Oriental Novel Reading Network. For mobile reading, please visit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 892. This time it was Jia Yan's turn to be stunned. But many of the contestants around them had expressions that indicated they knew what they were doing. When they see a high-level genius who is unique in the 132-star sector, these semi-star level experts will of course weigh it in their hearts. After offending a high-level genius, let alone the genius' future revenge, the forces behind him must be capable of overthrowing any force in the 132-star district. They would not dare to take such a risk. Actually admit defeat. Jia Yan smiled bitterly. He also had Linglong Xin in his heart, and he quickly analyzed the thoughts of these semi-star experts. This style is wrong. Jia Yan came here to challenge the strong, not to show off as a high-level genius. Maybe this is also the reason why no high-level geniuses will come to the low-level star regions. After all, the geniuses in the genius battlefield are all for self-improvement, and when high-level geniuses go to the low-level star regions, they will only make the forces there one by one. If you keep silent, this will not have the effect of tempering yourself. Over time, the low-level star areas will no longer see the shadow of high-level geniuses. This victory made Jia Yan win again. Immediately afterwards, 1.5 star talents continued to fight. Jia Yan's strength was not high among this group of semi-stellar geniuses. He originally thought that this time would be a good training process for himself, but he never expected that he would encounter a semi-stellar genius who did not dare to attack him. This scene. And just when Jia Yan came to power again, another semi-stellar powerhouse simply gave up. A small powerful battleship slowly landed on this powerful planet. As expected, it is a place close to the mid-level star region. The genius battles held in this borderland seem to be much grander than the genius battles of our Urshan forces. A half-star strong man got off the spacecraft with respect in his eyes. Hurry up and get off the spaceship. You country folk are just nagging. Aren't you trying to make a deal with my powerful force? Hurry up and get out of here. Behind the half-star powerhouse, a secondary level powerhouse started to curse when he saw that this powerhouse was watching everywhere. The half-star strong man was angry, but when he felt the auras of the half-star strong men on this star whose aura exceeded his own, he suddenly dared not speak out in anger. The geniuses from our 251st sector should have been treated like this when they came here. Forget it. This half-star powerhouse shook his head helplessly. Just when the strong man was about to withdraw his brainwave power perception, he suddenly felt a very familiar wave of brainwave power not far away from the place where the geniuses fought. Why don't you leave? The strong man in front of him yelled impatiently at the half-star strong man. I'm sorry, I saw an acquaintance participating in the battle between half-star warriors. Let me go over and take a look. This half-star warrior from Urshan Power showed a flattering look. Still fighting now? That time, Guanqiang was a receptionist of the powerful force. He had been watching the battle of geniuses just now, so he was in such a hurry now. This half-star powerhouse who came from the countryside actually realized that there are still people participating in the war. You must know that now it is a battle for the top 20. No matter which one is an extremely powerful half-star powerhouse, since he knows one of them I'd better not offend you. Guanqiang's mind changed this time. Okay, hurry up and take a look at me, and then come back. The strong man from Sichuan softened his words to the genius of the Urshan forces. The half-star powerhouse nodded gratefully, and then flew to the place where the genius battled that day like lightning. Jia Yan won again. The opponent actually showed respect to him again and then said words of resignation to him. The power behind high-level geniuses is too scary. As for the semi-star level expert from the Urshan force who flew over, he was actually a subordinate of King Urshan who came from the 251 sector one step behind Jia Yan. The purpose of this semi-stellar powerhouse coming to this 132-star sector is to win over the Erlong forces to send a certain genius to assist him, but he also needs some travel funds and some transactions on the way. Now in this powerful force, he is doing exactly this. I was so tired along the way. If it hadn't been for Jia Yan, how could I have ended up in the 132nd district and become the laughing stock of others? Thinking of Jia Yan, he felt a little angry. To him, the brainwave power just now seemed to be somewhat similar to that of Jia Yan, but it was more powerful than the Jia Yan aura he had felt before. So he wanted to fly over and have a look. Just when he flew over the genius battle area and felt a player below near the edge of the audience stage, he was stunned for a moment. The figure of this player seemed familiar to him. If it wasn't Jia Yan, whom he valued very much, who could it be? Humph. This Jia Yan has invited our Urshan forces to fight, and he actually came to this 132-star area. Does he want to escape? This half-star expert flew down decisively. After buying the ticket, he quickly walked through the auditorium and came to Na Jia Yan's side. At this moment, Jia Yan was a little helpless. He felt that all the semi-star experts were silent towards him, not only because they were afraid of a high-level genius, but also because they were afraid of the potentially powerful forces behind him. The opponent just surrendered, so he walked all the way to the auditorium, where he lay down depressed. He didn't know how to make the half-star geniuses fight without too many scruples against him. And just as he was prostrate, a voice suddenly sounded from behind him. Jia Yan. You are so brave. You agreed to a battle with my forces and actually escaped here. Do you want to break the contract? The owner of this voice was just shouting and cursing at a normal volume. He thought that Jia Yan was inconspicuous in a place with so few people. Even if the surrounding creatures heard it, his voice was destined to be drowned in the crowd of countless viewers. Amidst the noise, no one cared. But what he didn't expect was that with the sound of his voice, not only did the prostrate Jia Yan turn his head, but the entire battlefield seemed to become silent at this moment. Jia Yan turned around in surprise. Then he discovered that in the audience behind him was a half-star monster that he had some impression of. Jia Yan remembered that the opponent seemed to be a strong player in the Urshan force, and he had also won the top 10 honors in the semi-star genius battle of the Urshan force. But how did this monster get to Sector 132? Compared to Jia Yan's reaction, both inside and outside the arena, both sides of the battle and the surrounding spectators, were shocked and curious about the appearance of this monster. How dare this half-star monster speak to Your Excellency Jia Yan like this? Is he your enemy? Perhaps he knows the origin of His Excellency Jia Yan. There is something good to watch. Every contestant and audience is very curious about Jia Yan's origin. They must know that a high-level genius is destined to come from the central area of the genius battlefield. Every living environment is incomparable. Well, there are a lot of resources. Jia Yan, you actually dare to bluff and lie in this powerful genius battle. You, the weakest genius in the 251-star district, really think you are a high-level genius? Haha, I think the talent you have shown is simply under the guise, your own talent is just a low-level genius. The semi-star powerhouse of the Naertian forces said words that were harmful to Jia Yan's face. Of course he knew that Jia Yan's talent was still excellent, but now he wanted to humiliate him in front of Jia Yan. But what he didn't realize was that the entire stadium fell into a kind of shock because of his words. Originally, the words spoken by this half-star monster with powerful power in the sky were not loud enough for all the creatures in the arena to hear. He just didn't deliberately whisper. He never thought that the entire stadium and outside were paying attention to Jia Yan. Does this half-star monster actually say that Jia Yan is from the 251st sector? Isn't he a genius within the genius battlefield? Hey, he also said that Jia Yan's talent is fake. I was surprised just now. Jia Yan didn't behave like a visitor from a big force at all. Although his talent may be very powerful, he doesn't have the air of a big force at all. When each audience member suddenly realized Jia Yan's previous performance, each of the half-star geniuses who participated in the competition felt as if they had been slapped in the face. This Jia Yan is not a visitor from a big force. There is no sign of a big force behind him at all. We were so stupid that we were fooled by him. Yes. A man with such a terrifying talent would not arrange to come to our 132-star district for training if he had great power. It seems that Jia Yan is indeed a visitor from the 251-star district, and his strength is at the peak of the world. If not, no big power would let him take risks. Each contestant, especially the half-star monster who had surrendered to Jia Yan before, felt like he was being slapped in the face. Maybe his talent is really fake, or he used some special method. Even if he is really a highly gifted genius, but there is no force behind it, why should we be afraid of him? The contestants immediately had a 180-degree turn on Jia Yan's senses. Jia Yan, against Kia, please come on stage, the two strong men. Just when a group of strong men suddenly had doubts about Jia Yan's origins and talent, the commentator on the high platform announced Jia Yan's appearance. Jia Yan looked back deeply at the semi-star powerhouse from the Urshan force who had revealed his origins. In his eyes, there was not much hatred, but rather some gratitude. The half-star monster that day was also somewhat aware that something was wrong around it. Why, it seems that Jia Yan is very famous in this arena. Suddenly, he saw Jia Yan's opponent. He is actually fighting against a half-star strong person. This existence is stronger than me. This Urshan half-star monster's eyes almost popped out. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 893. Chapter 16 Jia Yan's Big Crisis. Not to mention the shock of the semi-star existence of Naertian forces, just talk about Jia Yan in Taiwan. Tasting books. This time on the stage, the opponent was stronger, and Jia Yan no longer felt that the opponent was afraid of him. Jia Yan, where are you from? When the opponent's half-star genius came to the stage, he asked this question for the first time. Is my origin important? Jia Yan understood what he meant, but had no intention of answering directly. Haha, it seems that my friend is right. Are you a genius from the 251st sector? The eyes of this semi-stellar genius suddenly lit up. Although they didn't dare to say anything about Jia Yan's actions, the semi-star geniuses were not very happy. They couldn't bear to lose their face when a venerable master defeated the same level of geniuses one after another. As for geniuses, they have seen a strong person at a lower level defeat a half-star genius. But when the venerable defeated him by 2 levels, the geniuses in the entire level felt embarrassed. Now that I heard that Jia Yan was not a big force, but even a genius from a small force in the garbage sector, the idea of beating him up suddenly arose. Yes, I am really a genius in the 251st sector. Now, senior, are you willing to officially fight with me? Jia Yan was unwilling to deny his origin, so he nodded and admitted. It's good that you actually came from that garbage place. As a punishment for you deceiving us, now I will show you the strength of a powerful genius fighting against the top 20 in half a star. The half-star powerhouse was a behemoth like an elephant, with a height of more than 250 meters. Jia Yan in front of him felt as if he could be crushed to death with 1 foot. Okay, let's fight. The commentator on the high platform saw that both sides were full of gunpowder, looked like they were watching the excitement, and announced the start of the battle. Jia Yan looked at the expressions of the surrounding audience and the half-star contestants. Now they all looked at him, as if they were seeing real fraudsters, and he was speechless. Before and after the whole process, he never said that he was a high-level genius, nor that he had a big force behind him. Now these guys treat him as a fraudster, which is simply ridiculous. But this can also make the opponent no longer fear that there is a powerful force behind him, and it is said that he has to thank the half-star monster of Na Urshan. Boom! The elephant monster launched the attack first. He used his fearless giant foot and stepped on Jia Yan. Jia Yan, on the other hand, had a cold light in his eyes and wanted to move to the subspace. But at this moment, he felt an unstoppable force surge around his body. The feeling of this force was so overwhelming that even at the first moment, his thinking almost stopped. What an amazing brainwave power! Jia Yan was startled, and then a blue color suddenly flashed on the surface of his body. Then he felt his head clear, and the feeling of being constrained was no longer there. But the opponent's big foot had already stepped in front of him, and there was a roaring sound in front of him, bringing out a terrifying gust of wind that almost made Jia Yan suffocate. At this moment, the huge elephant-like monster had a gleam of coldness in its eyes. He thought that it was impossible for Jia Yan to escape his blow, because he felt that even if Jia Yan was a truly high-level genius, he would not be able to avoid it. With such huge strength, it is impossible to avoid his own blow. You must know that Jia Yan's previous consecutive victories were all due to his opponents voluntarily giving up. The object he was fighting seemed to have a vacuum layer. But now he is fighting with a half-star strong person among the top 20 beings. The opponent's strength instantly increased to a more terrifying level, but Jia Yan was unprepared. It is normal for situations like this to arise that cannot be dealt with. So strong. Hide from me. Jia Yan felt that all the battles today were not as dangerous as this moment. Seeing that huge foot trying to step on him, Jia Yan roared like crazy in his mind. After that, his potential that often exploded in battle suddenly surged, causing Jia Yan's combat effectiveness to increase even further under 100% conditions. This explosion made him able to move. Bang! When the huge foot stepped down, the entire battle circle was filled with smoke and dust, and countless gravels flew. Some even shot into the auditorium dozens of kilometers away, killing several spectators on the spot. The entire foot of the elephant monster entered the ground, stepping into a deep pit. You must know that the battlefield stones are made of an extremely hard space stone, which can be destroyed, which shows how terrifying this blow is. However, this elephant monster did not feel happy at all, but showed a look of surprise. A black figure, at the moment his foot fell, took advantage of the huge force to step on him and rushed up, narrowly dodging the blow. He is Jia Yan. What an awesome boy, you can actually avoid my step. The elephant monster looked at the black figure flying out and changed his tone. The black shadow fell to the ground, and Jia Yan was a little surprised at this moment. He even felt a burst of power and a hint of weakness. Senior's strength is really terrifying. It's an eye-opener for me. But just like this, you can't defeat me, Jia Yan responded, and even continued to provoke. Be bold. The elephant monster was a little angry. Everyone could see that Jia Yan had just escaped the attack due to some luck, but his attitude was so arrogant. He no longer held back his hands, and directly kicked up his two long legs, stomping towards Jia Yan. The blue meaning in Jia Yan's eyes flashed suddenly at this moment. This kind of battle is what Jia Yan wants. Life and death hang on a thread, and fighting for his life is the fastest way to increase his strength. Jia Yan felt that at this moment, he had been fighting in the genius battlefield for so long, experienced all kinds of battles, and witnessed strong men using advanced tactics. At this moment, it was completely mixed into his body and mind. At this time, he was in the crisis of life and death, and his understanding of combat exploded crazily. War. The blue color of Jia Yan's body suddenly appeared, and then he jumped directly on his feet and flapped his wings like crazy. The 6 long front legs, with the help of the blue defense, seemed to be twice as powerful as usual, jumping out at extremely fast speeds. And the pair of long legs that were suppressed were already not far away. Jia Yan's body had long been suppressed by the opponent's terrifying brainwave power, and he could hardly move. If he had still had the same escape strength as before, he wouldn't even be able to move at all. The strength of this semi-stellar powerhouse is just a little bit higher than that of King Urshan of Urshan power. The current Jia Yan is simply struggling. But Jia Yan's instant burst of bounce still jumped out of the opponent's attack range. How come? The elephant monster looked at the scene at his feet in surprise. He clearly felt that Jia Yan could not avoid his attack this time, but Jia Yan actually dodged his determined blow in an instant. How could he not be shocked? Haha, I learned this bounce from a venerable monster. He is a grasshopper-like creature. I secretly learned a little bit of the brainwave power method he uses when he jumps. Jia Yan was bursting with joy in his mind. He felt that there were some things that he could not figure out before. It was almost overwhelming, and he understood a lot under pressure in an instant. It turns out that the way to use the brainwave power of this move is not to use the power on the legs, but on the abdomen. No wonder I couldn't figure it out before. Jia Yan seemed to be enlightened at this moment, drawing inferences from one example and understanding more of the moves he had secretly learned. The elephant monster attacked again. Jia Yan used the brainwave power that he had secretly learned from a certain slick monster. The body that had been rubbed by the elephant monster had a brainwave power that slipped, causing Jia Yan, who was in danger, escaped once again. Damn it, what kind of fighting method is this? The elephant monster stepped on again with some annoyance. Although Jia Yan understood many monster moves, sharpening his weapons in battle only had a small effect and was unlikely to help him reverse the situation. You only know how to run away. You, a high-level genius, are too embarrassed. The elephant monster made remarks to insult Jia Yan. Jia Yan, who once again dodged the opponent's attack, flashed his eyes. He took a long breath. Since you want me to fight back, then I will really fight back. At this moment, Jia Yan's ruthless expression appeared in his head. Then a flash of light flashed in his eyes. Facing another stampede from the elephant monster, he actually stopped taking evasive actions. Instead, he stood proudly under the opponent's big feet, his eyes flashing, looking at the giant black shadow attacking above his head. What's wrong with Jia Yan? Is it because he lacks strength? I think it is. After all, his strength is only at the peak of the Supreme Master. Under the attack of a strong man who is considered a powerful person among half-star geniuses, he should have run out of energy after holding on for so long. Crush a suspected high-level genius to death, and this elephant monster can show off for the rest of his life. One by one, the audience, as well as the other contestants on the sidelines, looked at the scene with great joy. Although Jia Yan, a genius with no background, his talent is still unknown, the possibility of becoming a high-level genius is still very high. Now unable to escape and dying, creatures that have never been seen by even high-level geniuses feel only the bloody pleasure in an instant. And the powerful monster in the auditorium was even more happy. Haha, if Jia Yan dies here, my mission is over. There is no need to go to the Erlong Force to hire some genius to take charge. This Jia Yan is going to die in front of my eyes. What a great achievement. He looked at it without joy. The surrounding spectators also watched happily. Only the powerful tornado forces, because they had some relationship with Jia Yan, now showed worried expressions. And high in the starry sky, a giant monster as huge as a star was groaning, as if it wanted to use some kind of method. But at this time, please subscribe to the official version, Jia Yan shouted. This book comes from pin/u0026shu hashtag. The source of this book is Oriental Novel Reading Network. For mobile reading, please visit